Toronto home prices have now fallen over 24% from their peak. That's about $300,000 wiped off from the average home. And yet, in March, sales have gone up year over year for the first time in 6 months. And the government just made the biggest intervention in Ontario housing in decades. So, is this the bottom? Or is there still a long way to go? My name's Denis Soldo, I'm with eXp Realty, and this is the March 2026 Housing Report. Now, if you're a home seller in Ontario and you're looking to find out what your house may be worth, come check out my website. I'll give you an instant home evaluation. No waiting around. You're going to get it the second you input your address. This can be found on my website, and I'll have links down in the description below for how to get there. And if you're a buyer, just go on here, click on search homes, filter out the city, subdivision, price, beds, whatever. This is updated every 15 minutes, so you have the latest data right at your fingertips. Okay, let's dive into this month's report. Some key findings to get us started. The average home price is sitting at just over $1 million, 1.017, which is down 6.7% year over year. The home price index composite actually fell a little bit more than that as well at 7.4%, bringing us back to the home price index around 2020. As mentioned earlier, we have seen the first year over year sales increase at just over 5,000 homes being sold. That's the first time we've had an increase in over 6 months. Mortgage rates are starting to suffer a little bit in the fixed rate territory as the war with Iran is increasing bond yields, which in turn is increasing our mortgage rates. And Carney and Ford have come together for a new deal to bring $8.8 billion into the Ontario housing, which means we're eliminating HST on all new home sales. So interestingly, in Canada, only Ontario has seen the worst of the housing market. Since February 2020, Ontario has been the only province in Canada to experience such a steep correction while also stalling all new builds. If you were to speak to people in Quebec or Alberta, they wouldn't even really know what you're talking about with such a housing correction happening here in Ontario, as over there, the average price has still continued to steadily climb, making housing less and less affordable. Although there's places like Vancouver which are experiencing a downward trend as well, they haven't stalled building new homes as much as we have in Ontario. So is this going to continue to be Ontario specific? Well, we're going to find out as we are starting to see sales increasing again. So if that does continue, obviously that means that supply will start to dwindle, which in turn does cause pricing to go up again. However, this is the first time in 6 months it's happened. It is springtime right now. We don't know if this is a fluke or if this is the start of something new. The March 2026 data does confirm that we are now in our biggest correction since the 1990s. Average GTA home prices have fallen from $1.3 million in February 2022 to $1.008 million in February 2026. That's a decline of 24.4% in 4 years. This is actually a deeper decline than the early 1990s recession, which saw prices drop just over 21% from their 1989 peak. Now, the 1990s recession did drop lower to just about 28% overall, but that took 6 years. And right now it's tough to tell if we are going to surpass that or not, as we still have another 2 years to go to see. Taking a look at some of the sales data now here for March, we can see that the average selling price has gone down year over year by 6.7%. So that's good. That's what we want to see right now. However, total sales has increased. So as pricing is coming down, we are starting to see buyers come more and more into purchasing these homes. One of the kind of important factors to look at here, though, is new listings. New listings is actually down 16.7% year over year, which is pretty significant, as well as active listings, homes that are currently on the market for sale right now. That's also down 8%. So once again, the question kind of remains to be seen. Is this just a fluke month, or are we going to start to actually see supply start to dwindle? Diving a little bit deeper, we'll break down each home type. Detached homes is actually the one that led the recovery here with an increase year over year of 5.2%, while surprisingly semi-detached homes are down. And condo sales have actually increased a little bit, suggesting that pricing is starting to fall into the affordability range. When it comes to pricing, all 4 segments are down year over year, with semi-detached homes taking the brunt of that at 9.5%, and condos continuing to also shoulder the burden at just over 9% as well. So let's take a look at exactly how long it is taking these homes to sell. We're going to focus on the right side of the chart here where it says PDOM. That actually means property days on market rather than listing days on market. And the reason being for this, why I like this stat a lot more, is because PDOM actually accounts for homes that have been taken off the market and relisted. So combined for all of Toronto and the GTA, property days on the market has increased pretty significantly. They're up to 47 days now rather than last year's 37 days. That's about a 20-something% increase. Durham region actually sticks out here. They've got the least amount of days on market, suggesting that people are maybe considering moving out to the Durham region, while the Peel region like Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon actually still has the longest property days on market. These numbers are a dramatic shift from the 2020 to 2022 days when properties were literally being sold in 24 hours. So, like we mentioned, one of the most significant stats of this month is actually the lack of new listings. The market saw a 16.7% decrease in new listings this March compared to last March. While we still are in a buyer's market, this data is pretty significant as it is starting to suggest that sellers are choosing to stay on the sidelines rather than sell their homes at a price that they're not comfortable with. Homes are still continuing to sell below their listing price, usually at around a 98% list to sale ratio. So this does suggest that everything from our report last month is continuing this month. However, at only a 2% decrease from the listing price, we are starting to see that sellers are coming to terms with the new market and they're actually starting to list their homes at a decent price, which is probably why we're starting to see more sales as well this month compared to last year. Toronto East is the only area right now where homes are selling above their listing price at around 102%. And this is being driven by its relative affordability and strong demand by first-time homebuyers. So diving into the mortgage rate side of things, the Bank of Canada has held its rate for a third consecutive time at 2.25%, which is a little bit weird as to why the 5-year fixed rate mortgages have actually gone up since our December 2025 report. Now, current speculation is this is due to the war going on in Iran, as it is driving oil prices up, which is affecting our bond yields here in Canada. So while the window of declining fixed rates does seem to be closed for now, borrowers are pivoting towards variable rates, which are seen as low as 3.35%. So to anyone who is currently shopping around for a mortgage, it is being strongly suggested that you do go get your pre-approval and lock in your rate for the 120 days. Now I'm going to touch briefly upon this new HST rebate program in Ontario. However, I did just release a video about 4 days ago on the entire subject, so I'll have a link to that below as well, where you could get a lot more information and everything there is to know about it. For those who do not know what's going on, there is now a full HST rebate, 13%, on new homes that are built that cost up to $1 million. This came into effect on April 1st, and it's going to last until March 2027. The maximum rebate you can get is $130,000, and that's if you purchase a home for $1 million. Anything above that will start to taper down, and anything below that you will get 13% of. But to sum it up, Carney-Ford have come together to give $8.8 billion to the Ontario Housing Program. So, from my research and everything I gathered, there's currently around 6 different themes that are affecting our housing market here in Ontario. The first and most obvious one is the Iran war and what it's doing to the price of oil, thus what it's doing to the price of our bond yields. The second is that we've had our first uptick in sales in 6 months. However, what a lot of people aren't talking about is that most of these sales actually came from the GTA rather than Toronto. The third is one that we just talked about briefly, the HST rebate for new home construction. The fourth one is that people are starting to see slowdowns of this housing correction. However, many are speculating that we're only halfway through. Next, we have specialists that are saying we're still going through a lot, prices are still going to come down, and TD actually changed their whole script, and they're now predicting further declines rather than us balancing out in 2026. And some good news is that home builders such as Mattamy Homes are saying that we're missing the middle housing group. We're not talking about building cheap condos. We're not talking about building mansions. We're talking about homes that are affordable for the everyday family. Now, taking a bit of a broader look of what's going on in every single area, Durham region and Toronto East are the closest to having balanced conditions right now, with the highest sales to new listing ratio being at 39.5% and 39.3%. The lowest months of inventory as well, and the sale to list ratio being over 100%. These are the more affordable markets that are actually attracting the new first-time home buyers. And the weakest markets right now are the Peel region and Toronto Central. Pretty obvious to me why. Toronto Central is basically almost all condos, and people are still not really diving into condos. Even though sales were up, we are still waiting for prices to come down a little bit, and that's why you'll see that they still have the highest months of inventory available. So looking at this data, there's actually a pretty clear gradient of what's going on. The more affordable regions are outperforming here. Once again, that's Durham, that's Toronto East. They're seeing faster sales and stronger pricing, while premium markets like York region and Halton, they're still struggling with longer days on market and a weaker sales to list ratio. So for my buyers out there, it's a very favorable time for you guys right now. Prices are down 24.4%. 92% of GTA neighborhoods are in underbidding territory, and inventory is abundant. For you buyers who are looking into pre-construction, it's as best as it's ever going to get right now with the HST rebate. The only downside you guys have got going on for you right now is due to the war in Iran with oil prices. Our fixed variable has gone up slightly, so best to go get your pre-approval and lock in that rate for the next 120 days. And for sellers, the field is still looking pretty challenging right now, with average prices being down year over year and the average days of your property sitting on market steadily increasing. Best advice for you guys is to forget what the market was like 1, 2, 3, 4 years ago even, and make sure that your house is the best looking house in the neighborhood. There is one little silver lining for you guys, however, and that is with the new inventory declining year over year. Obviously, this means that there might be less competition for you guys, so make sure you get out there, price correctly, make sure your house looks amazing. Now, we don't know if it was a fluke where new listings were down, but if this trend does continue, you could start to see a lot more activity for your showings. Taking a look at what some of the so-called experts are saying about the market, Capital Economics is predicting a 4% further decline in pricing for 2026. They're blaming it on the Iran conflict. TD Bank has now predicted another 0.3% national, that's all of Canada, decrease for 2026. And especially for Ontario, this had something like 6% more. They're just predicting more steep downgrades to come. BMO, they're also saying that the correction is actually going to worsen rather than start to balance out. Daniel Falk has even said that the decline will go through until 2027, when he believes it'll start to flatten out. And then Treb is the most positive one here. They're actually saying that it could level off within this year. So just some key takeaways once again for buyers. Prices are down. Buy now, but if you're gonna buy now, buy something secure, for the next 10 years. We're not looking to just do a quick flip here. This is not the time or place for that. If you need a house, it's a good time to buy a house. Get into one. For my sellers, you got to price aggressively from day one. It's like I've been saying, you kind of want to price 1 or 2 months ahead of the market right now, and expect your home to sit for 31 plus days if you're not priced that aggressively. Some things to keep an eye out for: April 29th, the next rate announcement. What's going on in Iran right now? Let's see if there's any resolution to this. And then we could start to tell if March's sales was kind of a blip in the radar or the start of a new trend. Anyways, once again, my name is Denis Soldo. I'm a real estate agent with eXp Realty. If you like the data that you see, please hit subscribe. It does help me continue to make videos. And drop a comment below for what you liked in the video, what you didn't like in the video, so that I could get better at doing this too. Have a great day.